It is now 6:30 and we're going to now start the meeting. If everyone would please rise and repeat or say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening, and we'll begin with some legal jargon, which is just so exciting for me to read. This meeting is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Opportunities for public participation will be permitted in accordance with policy 167.3. We have no public comments this evening, so we will begin with the consent agenda. And if I could have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Awesome. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, next up is the student field trips and professional travel.
Thank you. Permission for the MSD of Martinsville to be represented at the School Nutrition Association National Conference in Nashville, Tennessee, July 11th to July 15th of 2020. This is a chance for the MSD of Martinsville to be represented and comes at no cost to the general fund. Will be paid solely using money from the food service fund, which is a self-supported entity. Second field trip that we'd like for you all to consider / professional travel. MHS Athletics seeks permission for the wrestling team to stay overnight at the Hampton Inn in Evansville on Saturday, February 15th. The team will be chaperoned by head coach Briar Runyon and staff. The boys will be participating in the IHSAA semi-state at the Ford Center on Saturday, February 15th. The district will not incur any additional expenses.
Okay. I ask for a motion to approve the staff and student travel as requested.
I move to approve the staff and student travel as requested.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? Awesome. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're ready for other business.
So first item, the school district would like to recommend Brenda Zodi for her second term for the Morgan County Public Library Board.
Can I have a motion to appoint Brenda Zodi to the Morgan County Library Board?
I move to approve the appointment of Brenda Zodi for the Morgan County Library Board.
Thank you.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there any discussion?
Brenda's a former teacher at Green Township for years and years, and she'll be a great person to have on the board to represent all children.
Awesome. Thank you, Brenda, for taking this opportunity. So motion, okay, I'm so sorry. I lost my place.
Motion carried.
Motion carried. Thank you. Next up is donations.
Yeah, so as I always say every month, this is one of my favorite things to talk about, our fine folks in our community who donate both time and resources to our district. And so we have several tonight to recognize. Farm Bureau, Guy and Staggs, $800 to MHS Athletics. Building Healthy Lives Foundation, Richardson and Gonzalez, $500 to Bell Intermediate. Home Bank, Davis, Rollins, and Stevenson, $400 to Smith Elementary Arts Project. Home Bank, Dodson, $50 to Brooklyn STEM Program. Home Bank, Irvin and Ripley, $300 to the Green Township Agri Project. Home Bank, Dodds, $200 to Martinsville High School Robotics Club. Ferguson, I'm not going to say that name correctly, Wolseley, $2,253.84, material donation to girls softball locker room. I would like to point out that that is a vendor that we are using for construction on the girls softball, and so they, as an in-kind, donated a great deal of materials for the locker room.
Great.
So I think that's just a special thing to put out there. Beverly Cowden Foundation Incorporated, $1,000 to Bell Intermediate ECA general account.
Can I ask for a motion to accept the donations?
I move to accept the donations.
Was there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there any discussion? Motion carries.
Okay, next item is authorization to sign agreements for alternative services and private residential school placements. The form is attached for consideration. I'll add a little bit of general information to this too, just to make sure everyone knows what we're talking about. In the world of special education, per federal law, case conferences decide where students are placed. Sometimes there are situations in which a student has to be placed residentially or in an emergency situation. And that doesn't allow us the time to pull a board meeting together to ask for your permission. What this agreement does is allow for Mrs. Staley and I both to sign in your places as the board to recognize, or not recognize, to authorize dollars to pay for an emergency placement. This is an annual document that we have the board agree to or ask you to agree to. This is only authorizing us to spend money on emergency placements for special education.
Okay. I ask for a motion to approve the authorization to sign agreements.
I move.
To accept the authorization to sign agreements.
Thank you. Is there
I
a
second.
second? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there any discussion? Motion,
I didn't mean to step on the
It's all right.
motion carries. Next up is the superintendent's report.
Thank you. I'm going to yield here just a couple minutes to Mr. Ogden to talk about the continuation of our Board of Finance meeting that we had last month. I promised at that meeting there were a couple of things that we would do at this meeting, and I want him to give an update on those promises.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arthur. Last Tuesday during our organizational and finance meeting, I spoke a little bit, Dr. Arthur spoke a little bit about the 2018 financial indicators that were released by the state. The problem with that, again, is we're looking at last year's data when we're currently, wrapping up 2019. So we are currently in the end of year, wrapping up end of year for 2019. Along with that, we have a routine auditor in from the state, and they just wrapped up, and now the federal audit is in, and they're working with our treasurer and business department to make sure that we're in compliance with everything that we need to be. So at the conclusion of that audit, and then at the conclusion of our 2019 end-of-year report, Dr. Arthur and myself will compare that with the 2018 financial indicators that were released by the state. We think that's important to be able to compare those two numbers so that we can make important decisions financially for our district moving forward. So at that time, we'll present that information to you next month, as well as the monthly finances for January. Yep, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next item I want to talk about, just to kind of update everyone, we are finalizing the last stage of teacher contract payments and the things that were approved in the contract for teachers. That last item is recognizing hours above and beyond a bachelor's degree, and for people with master's degrees in certain areas that relate to their content area in which they teach. And so that's the last step, and we have the window open to receive transcripts until the 20th. And then after the 20th, we will, as quickly as possible, turn around the payment to those teachers that are eligible for that additional money. At the same time, we're also working on our non-certified scales and how we're going to bring to you a recommendation to give a raise to our non-certified staff. So as I've shared in previous meetings, we have to sort of do these in waves because we're touching each person's payroll record. And we want to make sure that we're doing it right. So we appreciate everyone's patience, and just know that the non-cert piece is up next. A couple other things real quick. We had a really nice meeting today, Craig and I did, with Youth Connections. And so we will be bringing a talent show to Morgan County. Johnson County's been doing one for some time, and so we're excited to bring this to Johnson County, or to Morgan County, and see what we get out of this talent show. So more to come on that. It won't be until this fall, but the planning is starting now. So that's something that we'll be talking about, and we'll be advertising to help raise money for programs that support youth in the Morgan County area. We will be partnering, or hopefully we'll be partnering with the other 3 school districts that are also in our county. So it will be a county-wide talent sort of search, but it will be held here at Martinsville High School this first year. Also, I just want to give you sort of a heads up moving forward. Michelle and I have agreed that we're going to do I'll do an I-69 update regularly. I don't have anything to share tonight, but I will in coming meetings give you an update just on how that's impacting us, bus routes, that kind of stuff, and what we're doing to prepare for that. So know that that will be something that will be coming on the agendas in the future. One other really, actually, one other great thing that I want to share, lots of great things I could share. But another great thing I want to share, I had a wonderful conversation today with the high school staff about the implementation of Insight. It's INSITE, which is part of the Riddell helmet program, which would allow us to monitor concussion protocol and students in the moment. So it's putting a device in each helmet so that we can, on the sidelines, monitor any concussion situations with any students, or if over multiple hits on the field, if they were to hit a certain threshold, to keep our kids more safe. So I'm super excited about doing that. This is typically something that's done with college teams. Most colleges have these in their helmets, if not all. High schools are sort of finally getting on board, and we'll probably, I believe, be one of the first high schools to have this technology in our students' helmets. So that's something that was really exciting to kind of talk about today and to get to move forward on. So we'll be talking more about that as we move a little bit further with the vendor on how we can accomplish that with our football team for this fall.
Dr. Arden?
Yes.
In regards to that, everybody always talks about the cost. Is there a rough cost on that, what you might be able to share this evening?
There is. So to give you just a general idea, it costs us about $6,500 a year to recondition helmets. So every helmet goes through a reconditioning process after the season is over to prepare it for the next season, to make sure that it meets the safety standards that it's required to meet. So if it gets cracked or the pads are old or something's wrong with it, it's taken out of service, a new one's put in, or it's refurbished, one way or the other. But we spend about $6,500 a year just on that process. To implement the Insight program, it's about $13,000 total. So they're going to credit the $6,000 since they already have the helmets and they're ready to do them now for this fall. They haven't done them yet, and because we're at the time period in which they would normally tear them apart, if we do this piece, the total cost would be $13,000 to do all of them at one time. Generally, we replace about 10 helmets a year, is my understanding. This year, because we've already bought those 10 helmets and they're sitting here and they're brand new, they're willing to take those 10 helmets back and put them in the pool, so they've worked with us pretty closely to kind of keep the cost down as much as possible. But in my opinion, if you do the math and you subtract 13 from the $7,000 is an amazing investment, I think, for our kids to make sure that they're safe.
Is this a high school level only or middle school included?
At this point, we're looking at just high school. We're going to test pilot and see how it goes. We have some questions about how it works and those kinds of things, but I think it would only make sense to do this across the board.
Something to add, as a retired paramedic, traumatic brain injury has been researched more and more as years have gone on. I'm sure Mr. Lips will tell you that once was a time that it's possible head injury, back in the game, that type of thing.
Yep.
And traumatic brain injury has been studied more and more throughout the years, and the consequences of, the cost to implement these devices into the helmets far outweigh the consequences of a traumatic brain injury.
It equates to between $350 and $400 a helmet as a number.
Yeah, I mean, without years, you're talking about the child's future, productivity, socioeconomic costs on families, or things such as that.
So
Dr.
that's
Arthur,
coming.
is that
Yes.
a one-time fee, or is that something that they would have to refurbish every year?
Not necessarily refurbish the technology. The cost will be in the 10 new helmets we get each year. So we
Right.
will have to outfit
Okay.
those 10 new after this first phase of doing all of them at once. And we had some conversation about, do we phase this in? And my logic is, why would we ever phase a safety
Right.
practice in? If we're going to
Right.
do it, we need to do it across the board, particularly for the cost. So I've worked with Kip this week to talk about how we sort of share some of those costs. So this is not something that's directly coming out of operations. Their athletics is paying for a portion. We're paying for a portion on the school side, and so we just think it makes a lot of sense.
Is this a helmet company that's putting these in, or
It
is
is.
it an independent company that's putting them in
It's
helmets?
Riddell, or
Okay, so
Riddell,
they're-
I'm probably not saying it right, but it's the actual, major helmet company
Right,
in the
okay.
U.S. that provides basically all the helmets to everyone, NFL, college, us, you name it.
So this is obviously an optional program. It's not something that's regulated,
Correct.
mandated by IHSA.
Correct. It's an above and beyond. Yep.
You're saying, you mentioned, we possibly might be the only school to do
I
it
don't,
next year.
I don't know that, but I think around here, I'm not hearing other people speaking of this technology. Somebody else may have different information. I can't swear to that, but I'm not hearing anybody else talking about the mass purchase of this technology.
think it's wonderful.
I would just ask that there be a special line for mom to athlete so that they could hear the communication. I don't think mine hear me on the field very well, so they're not doing what I say, so.
Okay, I'm almost through my list, I promise. Want to wish Steve Brock a happy birthday, belated birthday, so happy birthday, sir. And then finally, just a couple comments, and then I will wrap up with these comments. We did hear from the governor, everyone did in the state this week, and I know I made some comments that for the radio and may have ended up in the newspaper, and I want to reiterate that that my comments are based on the fact that school districts are already strapped, and we're working very hard with the dollars that we're given, and I think you all as board members really do a very nice job of making sure that we as a school district are very conservative in how we spend money and that we're being very fair about how we use that money. So I'm really proud of where we are as a school district, but it is disheartening to me, it's disappointing to me that the governor of our state is still continuing to say on TV that there's money sitting in surplus, significant money, but yet we're gonna wait another year for that money to be released. And so if you heard my comments, just want to be clear, those are what my comments were referring to. The fact that this looks like it's being pushed out another year, and the excuse is that we're not going to open the budget. And again, that's frustrating to me given the fact that we have kids that could benefit from those dollars, and you know, it's a little bit, feels a little bit of an empty promise to me as a superintendent. So we will continue working with our legislative friends and our folks here in our community who have the ability to help us with these kinds of things, and hopefully they'll see this from our perspective as we move forward. But again, it's a little frustrating to educators that this is the continuing narrative. We've heard this before. We're very appreciative of the fact that some dollars were loosened up last year, which have obviously helped us give teachers a raise. And I would also be very clear that I'm not just referring to raises for teachers, I'm talking about money in general for kids and for the school district. So that also means teachers, but it also means how are we supporting everything that goes in our school district, in our school district. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you, appreciate it.
Well, I say thank you for making your comments public, and maybe we get tons more people make those same comments.
Hopefully.
But thank you.
Thank you.
And now we will go into board member comments. Who's first up?
I'm still going first. Here. This is the time when we tell all some of the neat things that are going on in our school system. And Family First is back. Family First is a fun program that's created to help families develop strong bonds. It's directed by the Youth First social worker, and her name is Nikki Walsh. She's at Bell Intermediate. And participation includes weekly meetings from January 16th through March 19th, and they have child care, they have food and transportation, and it's all free. Classes begin January 16th, which is tonight, but if anybody missed it or knows someone that missed it, you can still do it next week. Open to families with children ages 7 to 17, and this program is funded by a grant from the Kendrick Foundation. And to learn more about it, please visit the social media, MSD of Martinsville, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or contact Nikki Walls at 765-342-6675, or by her email, which is nwalls@youthfirstincorporated.org. Thank you.
The Community Foundation of Morgan County has extended their scholarship deadline application date. So if you know a high school senior who is interested in attending college or a trades program, please visit the Morgan County or the Community Foundation of Morgan County website. Go to scholarships for more information.
So I'm really the short straw, and I have to make the announcement that due to Martin Luther King Day on Monday, in observation, we will not have school on Monday, so students will have the day off.
As Dr. Arthur mentioned a while ago, talking about the donations, it was another great month of donations to our school. A number of over $5,500. And if you look back through our months, what as I continue here, we know the wonderful, generous community that cares about our schools, which it is a wonderful thing. And also, thank you to the MSH cheerleaders for their involvement with the Coaches versus Cancer Relay for Life fundraising that took place last Friday night at the home game versus Decatur Central. And just hopefully one of these days we will find a cure for this terrible disease.
Congratulations to John R. Wooden teacher Randy Worthington on being named Teacher of the Year by our local VFW Post. And as we're getting ready to wrap up, I do want to say thank you again for everyone coming out this evening to hear what's going on in our district. And if you absolutely loved this meeting, you can watch it again as many times as you want on our MSD of Martinsville website under School Board. And thank you to Brian and Rachel, they're in the background, who video this, and just thank you for coming and doing that. Thank you all for coming. Can I ask for a motion to adjourn, please?
I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.